Tastes like chocolate milk. So I woke up this morning, something weird had happened. Someone put mud all over my bike. Like, it's not on the car next to it. But someone came up here, rubbed mud all over it. I have a meeting at 10, it's after 9, so I'm just going to maybe go for a bike ride after the meeting. But damn it, what the fuck is this?
Good afternoon. We had a group meeting this morning at 10. The presentation went really well. I think it paid off that I practiced a lot, and I have to keep doing so to make sure I don't lose the enthusiasm or the understanding of what I'm talking about. In addition to that, though, I still seem to be studying basic concepts. It's more than just being able to explain what I'm doing. I need to be able to answer questions about it. And obviously that requires more knowledge than just memorizing-ish a presentation. And I guess if you're curious, which I know you're probably not, but when I present, it's not a script that you go off of, more so as you just keep going through it, and you may reiterate some of the same terminology, some of the same words, but the goal isn't to do that. It's to get you so familiar with what you're talking about that you can casually say what you need to say, and you don't have to worry about any one word so much as you get the concept across. All that matters is making sure you recognize, I need to touch on this concept, this concept, and this concept. And you do so as natural as possible. And usually you'll find words that tend to be the same within each presentation. That's what makes for a good presentation from my experience. I don't know who's interested in that or even needs that, but I found it's helpful. Honestly, I have a lot of doubts for my abilities in science, but I do feel like I am a good presenter. I have a lot of people to thank for that, for helping me understand the good traits. So what am I reading? I did finish Calculating Stars this morning while I was making a smoothie, the smoothie that you get to enjoy. And I'm going to count that as making a tea or a coffee because I don't usually drink much tea, and I've stopped drinking coffee as of January for a lot of reasons. That counts as that category. I'm pretty sure that's all three categories taken care of for these Reading Rush vlogs. I need to do more work, but it's going to rain later, and I didn't get to bike this morning because I'm pretty sure I showed you my bike had mud on it. Someone literally came up to my bike, which is parked and locked next to to another car that's parked next to me. Basically, I live in a house basement unit, and the guy lives upstairs. His car's out there, and I have it parked there, and I have it locked up. And someone took mud and just rubbed it on it. Like, it was clearly not accident. It was clearly intentional, which was weird because nothing was taken. Like, I have lights attached to it, pretty expensive lights, and they didn't take that. So it was almost just to vandalize, which I'm glad nothing happened to, because I did just pay a lot of money to get both of my wheels replaced. With that said, I want to go for a bike ride while it's still sunny. And since we just had our meeting, I want to give myself a chance to relax. It is now about 1:45, and I have a meeting at 4 p.m., which is just to say a work session. Before I do that, my Kindle says it should be about 18-20 minutes. So I might be a little bit behind from that. I might not be able to go as far as I normally would for my bike ride. But so what I'm gonna do is just do the reading. This is taking longer than I thought it would. On top of that, I'm finding it hard to focus. It's not that I'm not liking the story. It's just that it's a very technical problem that we're dealing with in this sort of in-between short story. In addition to being tired, I'm also finding my mind keep wandering back to the work I've been doing. I keep getting distracted from what I'm reading, and like in my back of my mind, I'm thinking about my presentation, the things I just talked about, things I need to talk about. It's triggering my research, and my mind is just not focusing on the material, so it's not working. On top of that, I want to go for a bike ride, and it's 2 o'clock, and my Kindle says after 15 minutes, I have 25 minutes left on it. That's more than what it said when I started. So clearly, I am reading very slowly. Honestly, I just want to listen to audiobooks. I hate how slow a reader I am. And I hate that it's really hard for me to focus on what I'm reading. Sometimes I have to just read it out loud to myself, which is extremely slow, to try and remain focused on the words. And honestly, it gets easier over time the more I practice, but I've just become content with just listening to audiobooks. And it's nice when I have Bluetooth headphones to connect to my Kindle, because then it will just narrate to me while I follow along. And sometimes I'll just let it narrate while I do other stuff. But right now my Bluetooth headset broke. What that means is either I need to put book 2 on hold and listen to Hidden Figures instead, or just say, okay, I'll read 1.5 after I finish book 2 or while I'm reading book 2. It's not the end of the world. It's not as if book 2 is dependent on it. The goal was just to do a consecutive reading, and that's not happening. So what do? I really want to listen to book 2. I could start Hidden Figures, but I'd rather focus on this trilogy instead. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's go for a bike ride. It's a beautiful-ish day. It's not raining yet. It might start raining. I'll make sure I bring a raincoat. Let's do this thing.
2 hours later.
Okay, I didn't make it on my bike ride. I ended up falling asleep and taking a nap. And now it's almost 4. I don't have time to go now. Might end up raining, but I'm still gonna try and get myself to go outside with a rain jacket or something. I want to go for a bike ride. It's the only thing I have to look forward to every day. But for now, I gotta get back to work. Apologies for this day. It's been next to nothing. I haven't really done any reading. I had my meeting this morning. That went well. Then I ate lunch and just relaxed, honestly. And then I did some more studying. And then I stopped and I published a video, which was nice. But then I just scrolled, watched YouTube videos, scrolled on Facebook, scrolled on some dating apps. And now it's 11 p.m. and I haven't done anything. I haven't read anything. And I hate that. It means today wasn't a good reading day. I have 5 hours left in this book and I want to finish it tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish today's vlog off with a nighttime bike ride, just change things up. And you know what, why don't we transition straight into the daytime bike ride, which will hopefully happen tomorrow morning. I haven't gotten far enough in here to make any comments. I mean, I've read it before, so I can tell you how much I love it, but this is just the next stage in the story where they're trying to get to Mars now, not just get to space. But yeah, I need to read it. Honestly, I tried listening and I just kept getting distracted. My mind's been all over the place slightly. And I do think a bike ride is a good way to empty the mind, and especially change of pace. It's nighttime, so that'll be fun. I do want to talk about, though, again, Canada Reads, because today, Small Game Hunting got voted off. I know people are probably not watching this for that, but I've decided, I mean, if I'm going to do semi-daily vlogs, I don't have to talk just about those books. So I mentioned yesterday Canada Reads and what it is, this idea of it being a competition where you have 5 books that are getting defended by these celebrities who are basically having a debate. It happens over the course of 4 days, and each day they all vote on one book to vote out, kind of like Survivor. Now this is day 3, and this book has finally been voted out, and this book, I didn't expect it to win. That said, it was probably like the most powerful book that was there, and I did really enjoy it. I gave it a 4-star when I read it back in March, but I definitely came close to getting it lower than a 4. It was the only one that I considered giving less than a 4-star, and that's just because the dialect, this is based in Newfoundland, and it's centered around this one day in this diner, these people, and it covers so many different topics, from homosexuality, homophobia, to the patriarchy and gaslighting. And I think there's also an indigenous character in here that's explored as well. And of course, there's just the Newfoundland culture, and the dialect is very strong. And that's really one of the most difficult parts of this novel. If you like a challenge, that is what makes this book worth reading. I cannot recommend this enough. If you like a challenge, this book should be read. It is spectacular, especially if you're Canadian. I could recognize the art form that was in this book, and I think it really breaks the mold while also covering such a very important topic, which is one reason why I loved it so much, even though it gets so much hate for not being easy to read, which is true. And I think easy to read should be important. If you want every Canadian to read a book, it needs to be a book they don't put down within 5 minutes. But I do think that there are people on here that should read this. And I say this because I know that the candidates this year for the Canada Reads haven't been spoken about. That's bad, because they are all amazing books. Right now we're down to 2 books, which is Son of a Trickster, the first of a trilogy, and the other one is We've Always Been Here, a queer memoir by Samra Habib. Down to these 2, I want Son of a Trickster to win. It's looking like it's going to be We've Always Been Here, and I think part of that is because there's this bias against fiction, which is completely absurd, by the way. If you can't recognize the benefit in both, like, I get it if it's not your preference, but to say that one is inherently more valuable than the other is just a little ignorant. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to just draw a line in the sand and say I don't agree with that. If you're interested, we'll try to remember to link in the cards or below to the Canada Reads debates. They're actually really fun. This is my first year reading the books and watching the show. Like, I didn't expect this to be this much fun to participate and think about. It's just one of the many things right now that are just on my mind and that I'm enjoying doing this Reading Rush week. Tomorrow's the final day and I had to choose which one's going to win. So that'll be fun. I have been watching a few discussions about it outside of the debate itself, and some of the people that I've watched have mentioned is that it's less about the books themselves, the Canada Reads, and much more about the debate. It's much more about the process of selecting a book, which I now see why that is. So let's go for a bike ride, you and me. Let's enjoy the night sky because it's not raining.
Good morning, we're out here on a bike ride. I decided to stop at a slightly different location so it looked different from my other vlog. Change it up for you all. You're welcome. I'm amazing, I know. I'm still in the middle of the audiobook. I probably have a few hours left, maybe 2 if I'm lucky by the time I get back. It'll just mean I need to make some time this evening and not waste my time on Facebook like I did last night. The bike lane thing cleaner is coming back this way. I'll leave it at that. I need to go home, showering because I have a meeting to go to and work to do. I'll see y'all later. You know, today's Instagram challenge is take a picture with the background, like the setting or whatever, and like I should have brought my it cover. This is not the perfect picture. It's like the sewers from the movie. You know, I'm sorry, I've been terrible today vlogging. I've had a really hard time focusing on my schoolwork. Right now it's about 7:30 and I'm actually at the hospital, not because I'm sick, but because I had a sleep study appointment that has been set since like January, and they opened up this a couple weeks ago since Ontario is like on to the next stage. And well, I'm here because I think I had sleep apnea, so the goal was to help me sleep better. We will see how it goes. But you may not see me again tonight. I'll feel weird recording in there. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow morning. I'm almost done. Maybe an hour left on Fate of Sky. I'm pretty sure I'll finish it tonight because I'm pretty sure they said I could read some while I try to go to sleep. So I don't know if I'm not supposed to be recording in here, but here I am in my little hospital bed. A very systematic approach. They had a very difficult process getting in here. It asked me a series of screening tests like 3 or 4 times. It's like 8:30. I don't usually go to bed this early, but honestly, I get tired really early in the night. I just resist the urge to sleep. So I think I can probably fall asleep pretty quickly. I'm not that concerned. Good morning. I know I didn't have much of a closure yesterday. I had asthma as a kid and my parents smoked. I'm pretty sure it's carried into sleep apnea as an adult. Finished the sleep study. To be honest with you, it went pretty terribly. Yeah, I had a shit time sleeping. Could not stay asleep. It was pretty bad. I almost just pushed the button at like 4 o'clock. I said, let me go. I don't want to be here anymore. But I managed to fall back asleep, which was good. So now I have time to go home, get a bike ride, and enjoy my day as much as I can enjoy it studying. Num num num. Fun fact. In Canada, hash browns and potatoes are vegan at McDonald's. In America, they add dairy and meat flavoring to the oil, which means they're not vegan or vegetarian. One of the few benefits of living in Canada, along with not being as at risk of COVID, of course. So I'm home. I finished book 2 last night. I really enjoyed it, of course. There was even at least one part I think that I realized I didn't catch. I'm now starting book 3 again. I actually listened to it back in early July before it was released, because the author, who is also the narrator of all of her books, she's fantastic, one of my favorites now. She did a live streaming of her full 50 hours of narration on her YouTube channel. And of course, when I say 50 hours, that includes all the interruptions. It's been trimmed down, obviously. I'm not even sure it's up yet. I'm pretty sure the first section of it is like the first 6 hours, and I'll link to it if it is. But that was a really fun experience watching her do that. But I also just loved being able to read the story early. But I'm reading it again, and I'm actually really excited because I want to be able to experience the story without interruptions. I don't know, I think I actually like it more than the second book. Reading them back to back, it's just, I think the story stands alone better. Part of that is that we have a new character. Instead of going from Elma, this mathematician and scientist, to this other astronaut who has a slightly different background. I believe her background is more in she was a pilot in the war, and of course she's the wife of a governor and one-time senator, and it's just a different perspective. She has a slightly different personality, different traits, different benefits, different flaws. It makes a really interesting story, and I'm really excited to dig into it again. It is the longest book, the one I showed you, the one this moon, super long, 17 and a half hours. So even at double speed, we're talking 8.5, nearly 9 hours actually. But I'm going to try and get through it today and tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I need to study. I need to keep working tomorrow and Sunday, so we'll see whether or not I actually get through all of my books. I think if I have to sacrifice something, it'll probably be the short stories, which I'll still read, just probably after this is done.
if I have to. Well, that's not true. The last short story that sort of inspired this series is an audio, so I can listen to that easily. The rest, if I have to read them, I might just end up doing after this is over. I'm tired because I had a very terrible sleep experience there. I kept waking up. At one point I wanted to just say, fuck this, I want to go home. But I persisted and I managed to get a bit more sleep in, which is good because if I have sleep apnea, I want them to tell me so I can fix it. Like, I'm 30 and when I smile, these wrinkles, and I don't want to say it's strictly from sleep, but I mean, there's also these bags. Like, I know I don't get enough sleep, and I know the sleep I get probably isn't very high quality. Well, that said, I will focus on a little bit more of my mental health and physical health, and then I'm going for another bike ride because it's still morning. It's about 7:30, so I'm on time, which helps. I woke up at 6 at the clinic place. I'll see you when I get back. Again. So I decided to try something different today and spend the day in the park. I know, a crazy idea. It's supposed to be in the 80s today. For now, it's cool and I'm gonna try it. I brought my iPad, which has all the PDFs I need to study. I also brought some flashcards to make some cards to study with. I'm hoping this will save me from distractions. I'm really hoping this will work because I've had a really hard time getting in the zone studying. Like, it's really easy to do other things. When it requires me to focus on processing information, raw information, it's really hard for me to sit there and do that. It's like the same problem I have when just sitting there and reading. I need something interactive, which actually the flashcards help me do that. I'm not sure how much good they're going to be for me in the long run, but at least making them, writing it down, makes a big difference. As for the book, I'm about 2.5 hours in. That's that regular speed, so I have like 15 hours left. It's still really good, and I don't know if I said this already, but I'm pretty sure because of how I was listening to it, when 50 hours in narration and it got trimmed down to 17 and a half. So it gives you some idea of how much filler is there. And I'm sure I listened to it at double speed, but even then I was multitasking as I listened because of how much interruptions there were. And I'm realizing now there were a lot of details I think that went past me or that didn't really stick because of how disjointed it was. I still got the big picture and I really enjoyed the story, but this time around I'm enjoying it even more and I'm very happy. I really like this character, Nicole. I think I like her more than Dr. York, Elma York. Part of that I think is just because she's a bit more progressive, less, I don't want to say prude, that's the wrong word, but less conservative. I guess less conservative, yeah. Not that Dr. York is at all politically conservative. It's more like Nicole feels more comfortable in doing things that would traditionally be considered inappropriate for women, which I like because, it's like the patriarchy. Also, fun fact, and this isn't in the book, but Nicole's actually, this character is bisexual. I say that because it's not spoiling the book because it's never mentioned in the book. I think I mentioned that I'm part of Mary Robinette Kowal's Patreon, and that involves some interactive like Zoom meeting stuff, like as a group. And I think in one of those she talked about how Nicole is bi, and it was supposed to be in the manuscript originally, but she ended up having to trim it down and she could not make it fit. I hope that wasn't like classified information. I don't think it was, but I can definitely see it. Like, it definitely fits her character very well. It's unfortunate because it's not quite the level of Dumbledore. It's not like, I doubt J.K. Rowling ever intended to include that, nor did she really, I don't think she alluded to it as well. I don't know what J.K. Rowling's thought processes were, but you know what? I assume the worst with her because, terrible person being her. So I should get to work. As you can see, I'm already procrastinating. I brought some water. How much do I have left? That really is the biggest hindrance to me working here all day. I also just like this lighting. I feel like I realized that my footage outside comes out way clearer than when I film inside. Part of that is I live in a basement, so yeah, maybe I should just come here every day and film my YouTube videos here in the park for you all to enjoy. I guess I should get to work. Okay, it's 11:30. I managed to get 2.5, maybe 3 hours of work in, and I'd call that a success. I did not expect myself to stay till 10, let alone 11:30. This worked out really well. The temperature is still really nice. I think because I'm in the shade of the trees. I'm gonna have to remove this spot because this is the perfect location. Barely anybody came through here. There were a couple times people walked behind me and it creeped me out because I intentionally chose this thing like far away from the path over there. And there's not much behind me, so it's like, why are you walking behind me? I don't like this. Yeah, this worked out well. I had like a work session meeting with some friends, which helped because I was starting to doze off out here by myself. It is very peaceful. But I'm gonna go start biking back. You'll probably have an hour bike ride, which is perfect. Split up the bike ride in half. I don't know, I like this plan. I know I'm being weird right now, but when I changed it up, I like the result. I don't know. But I am gonna probably stop by the grocery store because I'm low on almond milk, which is to say I'm out of almond milk, and I'm low on frozen bananas, so I need to get more fresh bananas because I'm craving some chocolate banana smoothies. Like literally every day I crave that. So that's really not sustainable if I don't have a constant influx of fresh bananas and almond milk. So you gotta do what you gotta do. Maybe while I'm out I'll get a burrito. I haven't decided yet. I just don't want to bike that far, like all the way downtown. Okay, let's go. I take it back. Let's not go yet. Because I just realized I never talked to you all about Canada Reads was finished yesterday. I meant to bring it up, but I forgot to. Person who won wasn't my choice, wasn't my second choice, might have been my third choice, I don't know. It was fine, I guess. They were all amazing books. There was only one book that I thought absolutely shouldn't win, even though I still enjoyed it. But the one that won, I don't know, there was a lot of conflict between fiction and nonfiction, and this conversation of which one's more powerful, and of course, the memoir is going to be more powerful overall, but when it comes to actual writing, which originally I was thinking, okay, we need a book that gets all Canadians into focus. That means we need a book that's powerful. And then in the debates, they start talking about how it's more than just the weight of what's being talked about. It's about how it's talked about. And the book they chose, while it was well written, it was a memoir, I don't think it was as creative as the fiction book. And it ended up coming between a Pakistani and Canadian immigrant and an indigenous mythological fantasy magical realism story, both of which I recommend. We've Always Been Here and The Son of a Trickster, which I'm actually hoping to read a sequel in the Canadian Readathon. There was a lot of criticism for The Son of a Trickster for not being like a complete story, but the indigenous defender of that story, who was herself indigenous, basically made a point to say how it's important not to try and judge this book from a colonial perspective. It's like how people tend to create tests that fit their narrative, and it was a really interesting way of looking at what makes a story and what our preconceptions are, what makes a good story. And I thought it was really interesting. I thought the story was well told regardless, and I also thought it stood by itself fairly well. I mean, sure, it leaves you with the potential for much more, but I thought what was there worked really well. So yeah, I recommend both. I recommend all the books, as well as From the Ashes by Jesse Thistle. That was another memoir. I don't think it was as well written, but it did a really good job exploring at least one type of indigenous life, as well as a life of poverty. He lived a life of crime, and he lived a life where he had to be homeless on the streets for a long period of time. And part of that had to do with drug use. When I say crime, I meant drug use. I know the two are not the same. And it was a really, really moving story, especially since he now works as a professor at the University of Toronto. I believe that's somewhere in Toronto. That said, the indigenous debater who was defending Son of a Trickster made a point of saying that what might be powerful for some Canadians, which I'm not saying I'm Canadian, but as a white man, might be powerful to me, is not quite as powerful to someone like herself, who is indigenous and hears these stories all the time. And she's tired of hearing this very triggering story of pain and loss. I didn't know how I felt, whether or not it shouldn't be picked, but I did think it was a really compelling argument and really interesting perspective to take a look at. Because it's really easy, at least for me, to lose myself in my own perspective and not think about what the book would look like from other people's eyes, which is really fun. Really fascinating. I really loved Canada Reads this year. I really hope to be able to read them again next year. I hope to incorporate the discussions that they use this year in my own analysis of the books. Not to say I'm that good of an analyzer, but I did try to think about why they should win. Of course, as a white man, American, but still, it was all a goal to get myself more familiar with Canadian culture, and I think I have, at least started to, and it definitely got me more familiar with more Canadian authors, and of course the Canadian Readathon I think is a good way to do that as well, and I'm excited to continue my reading there. I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's go for a bike ride. I'm cold. It's cold. Are you cold? Is it cold in here to you? I am reading still this. Where am I? 13 and a half hours divided by 17 and a half. So let's say 14 divided by 18 would be 7 and 9. I'm 2/9 through this, which is just shy of 1/4. Is that right? I'm just shy of 1/3. In between 1/4 and 1/3. I'm not as smart as Elma at math. I may do math in my sciences, but it doesn't mean I am Elma level science. I'm talking as if most of you have read this series, when I know enough people have not. I'm somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 through this. I need to get through at least 2 more hours tonight if I want to keep my schedule of getting this done tomorrow. I don't want to take tomorrow off. Usually I wouldn't work on the weekend, but with my exam on Tuesday, I want to keep treating it like this. Now, granted, I could be working more than I am already, but when it comes to this kind of studying, I know myself, and I know I'm not going to be able to just go 24/7 just reading text. I won't. I'll start falling asleep. I'll lose interest. I'll find other things to do. I think if I just continue to pace myself with breaks and then focus studying, breaks, focus studying, it's my best bet. So what am I going to do? 1, I'm going to put on a sweatshirt. Okay. Not nearly as cold anymore. And then 2, I'm going to do my Instagram pic, but I want to do something like really epic. So I want to make a big stack. I want to do that, take the picture. Depending on how I'm feeling, I may try and watch the film. I was looking at what movies came out in the last year or so of horror films. I think I'm going to be watching Relic, which is about this older woman who moves into her daughter's house. Something's happening with her. I'm not entirely sure. I think something's following her or something's wrong with her. But the reviews are good. I haven't edited a video for today, and I probably won't do that. So I'll probably just make this a 3-day vlog for tomorrow, which is fine with me. I'm still enjoying the book. As I said before, I feel like this is better than the second book. Part of that may just be the fact that I didn't retain as much from this as I did the second book my first go around. After this, I have one more book to read, not including short stories, and that is, of course, The Hidden Figures. I really want to read that. I really want to read that. The more I think about it, the more I feel like it fits really well into this genre, and I need to make it a priority. There's no reason for it not to be a priority, especially since it's the only book I haven't read. As far as categories that have been met, I read a book that starts with V. That was the first book. I read a book that I touched, and that was the second book. And then I'm reading a book with the color of my birthstone. And I read a book outside. I read a short story outside. The last one I need is a book not on this continent. And technically, this set takes place partly on the moon. So if I really want to stretch the rules, that's what that will be. But there's a short story that is not on audio that I would like to read, Phobos Experience. That's where I'm at. Still stressing about school, but I'm at the point where I have a couple of days not to feel too overwhelmed, but then I'm sure by Monday I'll feel very overwhelmed. So it's just, there it is. I'm thinking about it. That's the problem. I can't think about it. I just gotta do. Just gotta do. He said do. So I did this elaborate stack, trying to make it look all fancy, and then I realized this looks tacky as hell. I decided just to do a stack of my Reading Rush TBR, or at least the part that I have on hand. It looks way cleaner. I prefer that. I don't know why I put so much effort into that, but I don't regret it because I listened to my audiobook while I did it, and it gave me a chance to make progress, which is good. I still kind of want to watch the movie. I'm going to clean up these books. Maybe. I may just leave them, honestly. This is why I come outside and look at the stars. Can't really see them, but you can see the trees. You can see that star. Look at that. So it's 12:30 a.m. Technically it's Saturday, but I'm going to call this the end of Friday. But I'm still reading The Relentless Moon. I'm still really enjoying it. It is definitely more exciting when it's like non-stop pacing as opposed to all interruptions. Like I know I've said that every time, but it continues to be that way. I feel like the threat in this book is still higher than the last book. Like it's the same sort of threat, but we're seeing it at a much more real level, which I really like. I've got less than 5 hours left, which I guess is the best I could hope for. The other book is 5 hours itself, so if I can get 5 hours tomorrow, then I'm definitely gonna get 5 hours on Sunday. So we'll see how my studying meshes with my listening time. That's how I feel. We'll see. The movie I watched was pretty good. It was weird, but also really sad, but also really weird, and I liked it a lot. It did not go where I thought it was going, but it was good. Again, that was called Relic. Came out, I want to say, early 2020. Has like a 93% on Rotten Tomato. But yes, that's where I'm at with this. I'm terrible with focusing, but I'm also tired. So tomorrow I'll wake up. I'm probably going to go to the grocery store. I think I already told you that. Hopefully get in a bike ride and also get my some work in. But I'm going to close it out here, and hope you all having a good reading rush. I know I'm not being very exciting right now, but I'm also really tired. You know what? I hope you all have a great day. And, well, a great night, I guess. Or had a great night since you're watching this after the fact. You know, just bye.